Hello. Welcome back to my channel. I think my hair is a bit messy now. Anyway, one book in this video, and I'm just gonna dedicate this video to this one particular book that I finished a few days ago. It took me about 2 days, I think, to finish this book, but to be fair, it is quite short. So, but at the same time, this book was also really enjoyable. I was really hooked by this. This is Diary of a Void by Emi Yagi, translated from the Japanese to English by Lucy North and also David Boyd. I had the impression that I might like this book. I've been looking for this book for quite some time because something about the premise just made me think that probably I would really enjoy it. And as it turned out, I really did enjoy this book. I borrowed this from the Japan Foundation Library here in Kuala Lumpur. So if you happen to be residing in Kuala Lumpur and you are interested in a library that sort of specializes in Japanese literature, then yeah, definitely head to the Japan Foundation Library. They're somewhere in Mid-Valley area. That also explains why for the past few months I have had this surge of Japanese books in my read shelf. Like if you were to, if you happen to be happen to have seen my updates on Goodreads or on Instagram, you would see like all of a sudden I had a lot of Japanese books read, and that was the explanation. I discovered the library. More like I registered as a member for this library, and I borrowed a bunch of Japanese books. Anyway, I found some wonderful gems. Aside from this one, which I read last year, but I'll talk about those books in the future because there were some really great books. I read another book by Fumiko Enchi. Awesome. Okay, but today I'm gonna focus on this one, Diary of a Void by Emi Yagi. So why did I think that I would love this book? So basically I found out that this book was about fake pregnancies, and immediately something within me just got alerted. I would say fake pregnancies is one of those tropes in narrative that would trigger my attention. Something about fake pregnancies just feels so extra. It feels over the top, and it just feels kind of superfluous in an exaggerated way, in a dramatic way. Likely because most of the occurrence of fake pregnancies that I've seen in narratives, I saw from things like TV series or soap opera. So maybe that's why I sort of associate fake pregnancies with something dramatic. I mean, just imagine the kind of logistics that you have to take into consideration when you are planning a fake pregnancies. You definitely have a motivation on why you would want to fake a pregnancy, right? Usually in those soap operas, it's because you are planning to to lie to someone because you want to manipulate someone, right? Most likely, if you do that, you are the scheming, manipulating character. So you would have to like plan all of these things for 9 months in order to make your pregnancy be more believable. I am not sure if I can actually carry out that plan if I were to have to do a fake pregnancy for myself. Not that I think that I would ever have to do that. I don't think it makes sense for me to do that in real life. But if I were to do that, probably, I don't know, I would probably have to fake a miscarriage somewhere, because 9 months is a little bit too long for me. But then again, it depends on my end goal. Like, if I really want to achieve that end goal, probably I would persevere for those, the entire gestation period. But yeah, it's a lot, and that is why I'm fascinated by this trope. So back to this book. I think I spoke like for 5 minutes about fake pregnancies, but just consider that as a context as to why I really enjoyed this. So in this novel, we have a character named Shibata. So Shibata is a woman who is working at a manufacturing office, and she is like the only woman working in that office, and literally all the other workers are like men, right? So because she's the only woman in that office, aside from the jobs that she has to do, she also had to do extra things like making coffees when there are meetings, and then clean the cups, tidy up all of those things after the meeting is done. Basically just kind of like become a maid at the office, and also a secretary. She has all of those extra responsibilities put on her, aside from the things that she has to do, because the other co-workers, the men, just simply are not willing to do those things. So one day Shibata just decides that, okay, she's done with this. She's kind of fed up, and she decides to declare to her colleagues, to her boss, that she's pregnant, even though she's not pregnant. And that basically signals the start of her deception. And she would eventually carry out, proceed with this deception, and pretend that she really is pregnant. And she realizes that upon embarking on this journey as a pregnant woman, aspects of her life begin to change, right? So basically that is where the story takes off, and we sort of follow Shibata as she experiences life, not just her personal life but also her professional life as this newly pregnant woman. Pregnant but not pregnant. So already from the premise itself, the story does sound kind of ridiculous. There's some kind of absurdity in the topic of this novel, and with the plot itself is also kind of funny. Because Shibata is also written as someone who is quite perceptive. We see from her point of view how things change upon her declaration to the world that she is pregnant. How life becomes different, feels different to her when her work responsibility just kind of changed because of her fake pregnancy. And in a way, this novel also makes a commentary about how the Japanese society where Shibata finds herself in, how that society just kind of pushes a certain idea regarding labor, regarding work, and also regarding gender relations on to people. and how in a way Shibata just kind of performs a transgressive act by becoming pregnant, and even more transgressive from our point of view as a reader, because we know that she's faking her pregnancy. So the whole thing is just quite ridiculous, but it's also, really entertaining to read, really funny to me. A lot of eye roll moments. Yeah. As her deception continues, right, there are certain parts of this book that would eventually go to a particular direction, which kind of makes sense in a way, which does feel like it's sensible. The novel would also hint on the mental state of Shibata, and I'm not going to comment much on how the novel does that, or what kind of suggestion, what kind of implication the novel makes regarding Shibata's psychological state. But the way it is explored, the way it is written, feels quite organic, and I personally thought that I could really understand why she would feel, in a certain way, considering the kind of life that she's leading. There is one part that I think is a little bit bizarre. Maybe kind of a stretch for some readers, perhaps. There will be like a recurrent reference to the Virgin Mary. So yeah, definitely the Virgin Mary is going to be she doesn't appear frequently in this book, but references to her, and how Shibata's deception is kind of being made to sort of align with the experience of the Virgin Mary, is kind of bizarre. I just kind of like that because of how silly it feels. Whether it really works or not, I feel that, your mileage may vary on that. So, yeah, that part is kind of weird. The ending of this book, I would say the ending of this book was pretty nice. I do like the ending, because it sort of suggests a more picaresque, or picaresque-ish direction for this character. It kind of adds on to that, picaresque vibe to the story that we have seen from the beginning. In a way, the character of Shibata grows throughout the story, and we can see the kind of development that she is experiencing. There is a certain immaturity at the beginning, and we follow how Shibata just kind of turned into someone else towards the end. So that part, I think, is quite satisfying. So overall, I think Diary of a Void was a really wonderful read. Certainly something that I would say my kind of book. So I would definitely recommend everyone to read this. And yeah, let me know if you have read this book, what you think about it. And I'll return with more interesting books in future videos. In fact, I'm currently reading this one, which I think is kind of interesting. This is called Perfection by Vincenzo Latronico, translated from Italian to English by Sophie Hughes. This book is really popular right now. Well, not just now, but it has been popular for the past few months. I borrowed this from my friend, and I was kind of surprised by how I feel about this novel. I don't know when I'm gonna finish this. I actually hope to finish this tonight, but then again, it's already like 11 p.m. It's close to 12 a.m. and I think I'll probably sleep. But anyway, I'll see you again in future videos. So until then, take care. Thanks for watching, and bye.